Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are on Wicca and we're going to go into divination now. Firstly, I am not a Wiccan. I don't practice Wicca. I do have various diplomas in the craft, Wicca included, because of all the research I've done. All I'm doing is sharing what I have learnt. Please remember, you're your own person. You will know your own path. And understand that it's important to research, and research. There's so much out there for us to learn. It doesn't hurt by looking into which path suits you the best. It really doesn't. With that said, let's get into this episode. So, believe it or not, dreaming can be classed as a form of divination in some cultures, in some covens even. The various dream symbols tend to represent something that's happening in our normal, natural life. So what we're going to do is go through a few of those dream symbols and basic meanings, but the problem with dream symbols is generally you have to put a few together to understand it more clearly. And this is why we have a dream journal. For example, not last night but the night before, I had a dream and it was very vivid, and there were three men and a gas station, garage, depends where you are and what you call it, that I'd never seen before in my life. These three men had masks on, full black balaclavas. You could see their eyes, you could see the mouth. And they went to rob this garage gas station. Something went wrong, and one of the men had a fake gun, but in the end they all ran. They tried to rob it and failed, and they all ran. And then there was a fire started, and that's where I woke up. A very bizarre dream. Very bizarre dream. So that's why we have a dream journal, so that we can write down what we remember, but not just what we remember. We can look for habits and patterns within our dreams. So with that being said, we're going to have a look at a few basic meanings, but there are many meanings out there, and I think you have to understand it will be personal to you what the meaning truly is. So let's get into it, shall we? And many of us do dream of animals. Animals are extremely common. This is meant to represent the parts of our mind that feels connected to nature and survival. Being chased by a predator suggests you're holding back repressed emotions, maybe fear, anger or aggression. Being at one with an animal and having a connection with an animal means there's friendship, bonding, not just with nature, it could even be with a person, and that person in your dreams being symbolized by this animal. It can also mean that that's your spirit animal, your inner strength that you call upon when needed. It's important to understand the meanings are various, and like I say, you will understand it as being personal to you, a dream that you may have and feel those emotions. You'll know from the feeling that it gives. And, someone else could have a very similar dream, but the feelings may be completely different. It all depends. Babies in a dream. This is more or less exactly what you would think, a desire to have children or produce offspring, your own vulnerability, the need to feel loved, but it can also signify a new start. Like I say, the different aspects in the dream put together will determine this. If you dream of being chased, and it's an extremely common dream symbol, is this? It's, many do have these dreams. This can mean that you feel threatened. It's about reflecting on who's chasing you and why. Are they a possible threat in your real life? Could they be a threat in your real life? Who knows? But that's what we would suggest looking at if you dream of being chased. Regardless of what you're being chased by, it generally means that you do feel threatened in some part of your real life, so they say. Dreaming of clothing is more of a statement of how people perceive you, how you think people perceive you. If it's worn out clothing, you may feel unattractive or worn out yourself. Changing what you wear may reflect a lifestyle change. So that's three things. If it's normal clothing, it's a statement of how you believe people perceive you. If it's worn out clothing, it could mean that right now you're not feeling at your best, you're feeling worn out, you're feeling unattractive. And if you're dreaming of changing various outfits, this could be a reflection of a real lifestyle change happening in everyday life. Crosses. Crosses are very difficult because they can be interpreted in so many different ways. Balance, death, a particular phase in your life that could be ending. It's very specific circumstances, and you may need to delve deeper to truly understand and define what's behind seeing the crosses. Exams. This can actually mean self-evaluation, self-exam. It's reflecting part of your personality, something in your life under inspection by ourselves. So it's like us reevaluating a certain path or a certain thing that we are following, and we start to reevaluate that. It may show up in a dream as an exam. So it doesn't necessarily mean a writing exam and things like that. It means more that we are evaluating something in our everyday life, or we need to evaluate something in our everyday life. Death. The death of a friend or a loved one represents endings and new beginnings. Death is not a prediction of death. It does not mean kaput, gone. It's all about changes. It depends how the death is portrayed. The death of an animal can signify the loss of loyalty to someone within your everyday life. The death of a friend or a family member is all about there's some endings to come in everyday life to begin new beginnings that are better and more happier times. So please don't see it as a negative, because it really isn't. It's actually a positive. And I think people, misconstrued by the word death. Death does not mean death, to die. It means something will end for something new to begin. And I think it's important people understand that. It's the same as in tarot. Tarot does not, the death card doesn't mean anything about death. It just means changes on its way, that's all. And a lot of people are scared of that card, and please do not be. Nothing to fear in that card at all. Falling is one of the most extremely common dreams, let's be honest. Now, this could be relating to anxieties, losing control and feeling like you're failing in some way or another. So let's say you are in college and you're doing many exams and you feel like you're not doing well enough. You could have a dream of falling, and that's how simple it is. That's the best way to describe it for you. It can also signify that you have some anxieties in everyday life that you need to let go of. Like I say, generally there's more than one symbol in a dream, and we have to put them together to work out the full story, hence why we have a journal. Faulty machinery, which is not so rare, but has come up quite a few times in some of my pupils, I might add. This is caused by the language centre being shut down while asleep. It sort of represents performance anxiety, like being able to dial numbers on a phone, search the net, or read time within a dream. Usually in dreams, certain things are not so common, like dialing a phone but seeing the full number, looking at the clocks on them all having the right time or working properly. If we see that, usually it means that it's possible we're having some sort of anxiety, performance anxiety. It does not necessarily mean performance on a stage, just performance in your life in general in some sort of aspect. It's quite a difficult one and it's not that common. Dreams of food. This symbolises knowledge because what does food do? It nourishes the body, just as information nourishes the brain. Of course, it could just be food that you're dreaming of, but generally there's a deeper meaning to it. So if you dream of eating an apple, you're dreaming of gaining knowledge. A red apple usually signifies forbidden love or knowledge of a forbidden love. If you're dreaming of chocolate and chocolate cake, it's comfort. You're taking comfort in your dreams for your everyday life. So it can alter, from time to time what the food means. Demons. These are repressed emotions and are nothing to do with actual demons at all. The thing is with that word is it's been changed, altered, misconstrued over time. So much, it's unreal. So much, it's unreal. Demons at one stage were used for parts of ourselves that other people did not like or we did not like. It was almost part of our personality trait. It was part of what was in us, a part that's not so nice or that's seen as not so nice by others. Even if it was just different, but yet still good, because it's different, it could have been called a demon inside you, which is silly. That's why it signifies the repressed emotions that you secretly have and the need for change of your behaviours for the better in your real everyday life. Now, when it comes to hair, this is tied to sexuality. And this is according to Freud, and I like Sigmund Freud. I've read a lot of his work. Abundant hair is a sign of virility, and cutting hair is a sign of loss of libido. So it's all about sexuality. And it's like, so let's say you had a dream where you're wearing worn out clothing, okay, and there's a demon somewhere in that dream, and then your hair is in that dream and it's being cut. To put all that together, what we would say is you have some emotions in your life against a particular person that makes you feel worn out and unattractive. So therefore you have a loss of libido towards them. Do you see how it works? You kind of have to put them together and make that connection that's personal to you. However, to simply go bald in a dream, it's just symbolising that you may fear going bald in real life, Hands. The dream of hands depends on how they are. So when they're tied up, this can represent, it can represent feelings of futility, I guess, and washing the hands is a sign of guilt, apparently. Looking closely at your hands is a very good way to become lucid in your dreams. So if you're sleepy, but you're not ready to actually go into full sleep, because it's very hard to get that correct balance, it really is. Looking at your hands closely apparently can help you go into lucid dreaming. I've never done it that way. I've not tried it that way, but it's just something I'm throwing out there. Houses are quite common, and they host many common symbols as well. Buildings as a whole represent your inner psyche. Each room or floor can symbolize different emotions, memories, interpretations of meaningful events, even past lives. So if you dream of buildings and houses that have various rooms, note down each room, the actual building, the feelings that you feel when you're in there. It can unlock some pretty important things to your everyday life. It just depends. So, killing. This does not make you a closet murderer, okay? It represents your desire to kill part of your personality. It can also mean that you have some sort of hostility towards a particular person. So don't worry, you're not about to go on a killing rampage if you're dreaming of that. You just need to make some changes in your everyday life. Marriage. This can actually be a literal desire to wed, or merge the feminine and the masculine parts of your psyche. So it depends. It could be that you naturally do want to get married and you have someone in mind, or it could be that you just want to be balanced in your psyche with the feminine and the masculine. Missing a flight, or any kind of transport to be fair, it's another common dream. And it generally means that in everyday life, you're revealing I can't speak tonight, guys. You're revealing frustration over missing important opportunities in your life. It's most common when you're struggling to make a big decision in everyday life. Money can symbolise self-worth in a dream. Exchanging money may show that you're anticipating some changes in your life, usually in career, business, etc. Mountains signify obstacles. If you dream of climbing over a mountain, this is a true feeling of an achievement in your everyday life. Viewing a landscape from the top of the mountain can symbolise your life is under review without conscious prejudice, and you wouldn't necessarily know it. To not be able to get over a mountain means that there is obstacles that you are finding hard to get over in everyday life, so you may need to look at another option, another way around the situation. Another extremely common symbol in dreams is nudity. Yep, it's one of the most common. There's a few very common ones, and this is definitely in there. This is about revealing your true self to others. You may feel vulnerable and exposed to others when you're showing off nudity. It can also suggest sexual urges or a desire for recognition. It just depends. People or characters within a dream. These are a reflection of our own psyche, and they kind of may demonstrate certain aspects of our own personality. Radio and TVs symbolize communication. It's channeling, isn't it? So this it's a channels between the conscious and the subconscious minds. It's lucid, Ask a question, see if you get an answer, which is a bizarre thing to do, but if you can go into a dream where there is some sort of communication from TVs, from telephones, from radio stations, and you can actually remember to ask that question and get an answer, you're lucid dreaming. Because in lucid dreaming, we control our dreams. To dream of roads, convey directions in life. It is time to question the current life path you are on, so it is said. Schools are quite common as well. It's about dreams. See, this generally comes with children and teenagers as such, because it's a dream that's like they need to understand that you are fulfilling your life's lessons. The need to dream about being in school and becoming an adult. So it's definitely more common in children and teenagers. Sex dreams can symbolise intimacy and the literal desire for sex, obviously. It may demonstrate the unification of unconscious emotions with conscious recognition, showing a new awareness and personal growth. Teachers can represent an authority figure, one that's in your life and is a power to enlightenment for you. Teachers are important in dreams because they're going to give you knowledge you have not yet gained in everyday life. Teeth, believe it or not, it belongs with the common category. If you dream of losing your teeth, it can mark a fear of getting old, becoming unattractive to others, I guess. When you dream of what we know as the fake teeth, the veneers, it can represent either a possibility, something in your life that's fake, someone in your life that's fake, or a part of you that you're faking, or even just the desire to have nice teeth. It really does vary. Trapped. So if you're physically trapped in a dream, it can represent in real life the ability to escape or make the right choices. It's not about being trapped in a room, even though you may dream of being trapped in a room or trapped in a cupboard. It signifies in everyday life that you're trapped within this choice, within an environment, a situation, and you need to gain the strength and the ability to move forward out of that situation and make positive changes. Vehicles. This depends on the control because it usually signifies how much control you have over your life, your everyday life. If it's out of control or someone else is driving for you, you may need to reevaluate your situations. The idea is to dream that you're in control and that it's a smooth ride. And if there's a crash with vehicles in your dream, it signifies that there's a destruction of oneself, that you need to see yourself and love yourself for you and not create those problems within your life, but try and stay away from them and try and change your mind and the way that you think about yourself. Water comes in many forms and it usually symbolises the unconscious mind. Calm pods of water may reflect inner peace, while choppy ocean can suggest unease in your everyday life. These symbols are not just in dreams. These symbols are in every form of divination, crystal ball, scrying, even looking at clouds, daydreaming. Any symbol that I have just said coming into any form of divination all generally means the same. However, like crystal ball, for example, and scrying, that can come in colours at first. When you first start doing things like that, generally what you will get is colours. So you'll get purple for spirituality and the psyche and learning spiritual experiences. You'll get orange for eye energy and vitality. You'll get sort of red for sex, for lust, for love, for intimacy. You'll get blue. Blue is usually emotions, it's about releasing emotions, feeling emotional. And then you get black, which black usually means protection. White can mean absolutely anything. It really can. Green is all about self-love. prosperity, abundance. It's all the same. And working as a complementary therapist anyway, we tend to put sound therapy, colour therapy with crystal healing all as one. We tend to interpret colours as meanings, but we tend to use those colours to bring in a particular energy. And it works, like yellow, happiness, friendship, pink, loving others. And it's like that with everything, spell work, dreams, divination, it all usually is the same and can be used to our benefit, absolutely. Now, they will need your own unique interpretation, of course, because the idea is you have to write it down and put together what you think the dream might mean. It can be hard to do that, it can be hard to remember everything. But if you do, you might find particular patterns and be able to absolutely understand dream, your divination work. It's like there's tea leaves, for example. Some people read tea leaves, and within the tea leaves, they can see images. And the way that we read tea leaves, of course, you make the tea with the leaves in, you sip your tea, and you concentrate on the question at hand, the answer that you are searching for. You spin the cup 3 times clockwise with a little bit of residue left in the bottom and the leaves, and then you read your tea leaves and see what symbol comes forward. With a pendulum, it's very different, isn't it? Because pendulums generally bring yes, no answers, and that's it. When you get a pendulum, or you can make your own. To make your own, all you need is some copper wire or jewellery wire. Copper's the best. Obviously some thread, quite thick thread. A crystal or a stone, usually with a point on it at some point. Obviously you need to have a point on it. If it's round, fair enough, but generally all pendulums end in a point. The idea is obviously you would unwrap the copper wire around the crystal or stone, put the thread through it, make sure it's secure. The crystal is wrapped around the copper thread, and the copper wire is on the thread. And it's really that simple. That's all you have to do. So you take your crystal or your stone, wrap the copper wire around it, make sure it's tight and secure, thread the copper wire onto the thread, and you have your pendulum. The first thing you need to do when using it is make sure you know that it's attuned to your energy and that you're going to get a yes or no answer and it's going to be correct. So when you first start, use very simple questions. Yes and no questions, and questions you know the answer to. For example, is my real name? State your name and see how the pendulum swings. Do that a few times. Am I male? Am I female? See how the pendulum swings. So you know then that's your yes. Again, do it for no. Simple questions. Am I purple with pink spots? You're going to get your no. It's like that. You've got to ask questions that are very basic, very simple, until you can see which way your pendulum swings for yes and which way it swings for no. Then you are ready to use your pendulum. But do understand, it's important. Always have spare pendulums for other people. That pendulum's yours. It's got your energy embedded in it. So you want to keep it that way, ideally. Don't let others play with your pendulum that's personal to you. Keep it as your personal pendulum. And have spare ones. They're not expensive and you can make them. So you don't have to be without one. You can have quite a few if you want. It's that easy. When scrying with water, we find that a black or a dark coloured dish is used. So very deep blue or black dishes are used. And the idea is you don't want to concentrate on your reflection. You're not exactly looking into the water. You're looking at the surface and any shapes it makes, any swirls, any changes. Just like when you look at the clouds and you watch for changes or any symbols or signs that you might see in them. It's the same with any type of divination. Even if you're scrying in a mirror, it's more or less the same. As long as you are in complete peace with yourself, your mind is empty, then you can do it. You can do it. It's just concentration and putting yourself in a very meditative state while you're doing it. Even with crystal balls, it's the same. It takes time and practice. Just practice. Just do it, like 3 minutes and work your way up to see what you get. It doesn't always come straight away, but eventually it does. And anybody can do it. We all have the ability to do this. And it's fun and it's fascinating. I enjoy it. I do it a lot. But yeah, divination's in so many aspects and can mean so many different things with what you get. So journaling everything is extremely good. It means you can look back and work out things and it can improve your everyday life. I'm going to leave it there, guys, because I've already got over 30 minutes. Love and light and many blessings.